Today we're going to see if you should buy a case for your Apple Watch. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Ronan. I make vlogs and I make product and tech reviews. And in today's video, we're going to see if you should get a case for your Apple Watch. Okay, so why was I thinking about this and why has this come up? So a little bit of context. Back in April, Elaine and I were at a spa and I was swimming in the pool and I swam into a wall, and the wall had these kind of like rough tiles on it. And unfortunately, when I swam into the wall, my Apple Watch took the brunt of the impact. And when it did, I kind of like mashed the screen and mangled it a little bit. There's loads of really bad scratches all down the top of the watch and all down the side. So the screen is just really badly scratched on this now. And after that happened, I bought this Apple Watch case from Jetech, and I got this on Amazon. It was about $10, and I bought it in the hopes that it would make the scratches a little less visible, because what I noticed was, particularly like when I was out and about in sunlight, the sun catches the scratches and they're just really visible, and it's actually difficult to see certain parts of the watch face and the screen when I look at my watch outdoors now. And when I put the case on the watch, it kind of covers the scratches and it kind of makes them a little bit harder to see outdoors. So it sort of works for that purpose, but it got me to thinking, are these cases actually worth buying? So stick with me to the end of the video to find out if I think you should actually get one of these cases. Also, quick disclaimer, I bought this case with my own money and nobody sent me this case to review or to talk about. And also there are many cases for Apple Watches available on Amazon. The reason I picked this one is because I have an iPad case from Jetech and I really like it. So I already had a product from them that I liked, so I kind of trusted them and decided to go for them again. So I want to break this into kind of two sections. I want to talk about the positives of the Apple Watch case, and I want to talk about the negatives of the Apple Watch case. So first of all, let's start with the positives. So first up, the case fits my Apple Watch really well, and it's got these cutouts here on the left hand side for the speakers, and the same goes for the digital crown. It's got a cutout on this side so you can still access your digital crown, and it's perfect fit. There's also a nice little cover over the power button, and it enables you to press that in and out, but it actually covers the power button. So you do get a little bit of extra protection on the power button on the side of the watch as well, which is quite nice. And then the second thing that I like about this case is it has kind of like a rubberized or texturized feel around the edges. So it kind of just gives it a slightly more premium feel than it would if it was just like hard plastic. And it also gives the watch like a matte black finish, which is probably closer to the space gray color that I had on my Apple Watch, and that's a color that I really like. So I kind of think the black fits my aesthetic pretty nicely, and particularly with the exposed crown, it doesn't jar or clash with that in any way. Next thing I like about the case is it's actually pretty durable. Like, I'm pretty hard on my tech and on my stuff, as you can tell by the fact that I had to get this because I wrecked the screen. But like, I've already clipped it off like several door frames and stuff, and it doesn't really have any kind of big marks or scratches on it or anything like that. And it has already kind of saved me from smacking the watch off those things. So it has protected the watch a little bit as well. And I kind of feel like had I been wearing the watch with this case on it when I was swimming, I would have probably mangled the case and wrecked it, but the watch itself would have been perfectly safe and secure, which is kind of the goal and the object with these things. So yeah, I kind of wish I'd had this before I went swimming. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about in the positives with this case is the price. I bought this case from amazon.co.uk and it cost me £8.18 sterling. So like, in terms of price, this thing is really affordable. For like basically €10, I have a case on my Apple Watch that is really sturdy and just like protects it from any like knocks or bangs, which I will invariably do because I'm pretty reckless and clumsy with these things. Okay, now for the negatives. First of all, how it looks. I know I said I liked the color and all that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, the Apple Watch doesn't look as good with this case on as it does with case off. And while I know that's true of pretty much every Apple product, in this case in particular, I really loved the look and the aesthetic of my Apple Watch with no case, and kind of having the case on it, it sort of, for me, kind of cheapens the feel of the Apple Watch a little bit. In terms of function and practicality, it has no bearing, but just in terms of how the watch looks, yeah, the watch just doesn't look quite as nice or quite as good with this case on it. And then the next thing to talk about, which is kind of a negative on this Apple Watch case, is just the way it covers the digital crown. So it really comes up to the edge. There is a little recess on the side here, so you can twist the digital crown, but particularly if you're used to not having a case or anything there, that takes a lot of getting used to, and it sort of feels like the case gets a little bit in the way of the digital crown when you're using it a little bit. So that kind of like user interface that you're used to with your Apple Watch just isn't as nice when you have the case on the watch. Okay, so the next negative for me is actually the screen protector here. So this is a plastic hard cover on the screen, which is designed to protect the screen, but because it's a layer of plastic over the glass, it just means that the screen doesn't feel quite as precise or as responsive as it does when there's no case there. And again, also it just doesn't feel quite as nice or as tactile when you interact with the screen. And it's not much, but there is definitely just a tiny little bit like lack of responsiveness from the Apple Watch when you're touching the screen and interacting with the screen when you've got the case on. And then there's also this like black edge around the screen, and I have no idea what this is for, but it encroaches just a tiny little bit onto the display area of the watch screen. And while it doesn't really get in the way too much, I'm definitely not a fan of it. And another thing that I've discovered is we were in Germany last week and it was quite hot there. And what I noticed was in the heat, the Apple Watch actually kind of fogs up inside the case. So you get like a little bit of like, just like fog underneath the case between the watch screen and the case, which is really annoying, and it just kind of makes it like more difficult to see what's on your watch. And then not only that, what I notice is when the fog kind of clears, it leaves really kind of bad smudges almost underneath the case on the actual watch screen itself. So it's not even the kind of thing where you can kind of wipe it off in your jeans or your t-shirt or whatever. In order to actually clean it, you have to take the whole case off, clean that, clean the watch face, and then put it all back together, which is just such a pain. Or you just kind of have to go around with like a really kind of dirty, grubby looking watch screen, which is not something that I particularly like. Okay, so that is all the pros and cons. And the big takeaway there, from me at least, is that I definitely have an awful lot more negatives about the case than I do positives. So just on the face of that alone, you would think that I would say these cases probably aren't worth the trouble. However, I'm still not over how badly scratched my Apple Watch face is. So whether or not I actually think getting one of these cases is worth it is not quite that straightforward. So ultimately for me, in the long term, I don't know if I'm going to actually stick with using this case. But I think if somebody was looking to buy an Apple Watch and was looking to get one of these cases and asked me what I thought, I kind of probably would recommend it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend using it all the time. Like for me at the moment, I have no immediate plans to replace my Apple Watch despite how much I might want to. But whenever I eventually do, I'm pretty sure that I will probably get another case to go with the new Apple Watch if I need one, when I do decide to buy one. But then I won't use the case kind of day to day. I'm going to keep it for kind of more high risk activities, like when I am swimming, or say if I'm at the beach or whatever, and then just kind of general day-to-day use where I'm like around the house or if I'm in the office or whatever. I don't think I'll use the case on the watch then. Okay, so that's it. I would recommend getting a case for your Apple Watch, but only really if you're doing stuff where there's a high risk of like damaging the watch. And then if you're just kind of like general day-to-day use, I'd say you probably don't need one. Apple Watches are pretty durable just for general day-to-day wear and tear, but for those times when you're going to be a bit harder on the watch, or there's a risk that you're going to be a bit harder on the watch, I think, yeah, definitely having the case is a good idea in my book. Okay, so that is all I have to say about whether or not I think you should get a case for your Apple Watch. So I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you've liked it. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.